Hi everyone, my name's Will and today I'm joined by my colleague Perdip and we are buy-to-let specialists in the residential property team here at Black Solicitors. Today we're going to be talking about the Leasehold Reform Ground Rent Act 2022. So Perdip, do you want to get us started?
So this piece of legislation came into place on the 30th of June 2022 and it abolishes ground rent for new residential long leases. So these are leases that are over 21 years. There are a number of exceptions that apply to this piece of legislation, so it's not applicable to shared ownership leases, residential retirement leases, and also statutory lease extensions. Now, in terms of the legislation, Section 3(1) prohibits landlords from recovering ground rent. So this means that any leases that have been drafted from the 30th of June 2022 must state a ground rent of a peppercorn, which means it's nil. Section 18(3) prohibits landlords from recovering administrative fees in relation to that ground rent, which is obvious because if there's no ground rent recoverable, there should be no administrative fees recoverable as well. The point to note with this particular piece of legislation is that it does not automatically apply to lease extensions. So if you are looking to extend an existing lease, you must liaise with the landlord in order to come to some form of agreement as to how you both wish to proceed. In terms of the legislation and why it's been brought about, well, historically, leaseholders have faced very, very high escalating ground rent and administrative fees. So it's been brought about to make the whole system a little bit more fair, transparent and affordable.
So if you're a landlord and you fail to comply with this new legislation, there are a number of consequences. One of them being that you can be fined anywhere between £500 and £30,000 where ground rent has been charged and not returned to the leaseholder. If you're a buyer of a property where the lease has been granted after the 30th of June 2022, it's really important that you check the lease to make sure that it is compliant with the current legislation. And on the flip side, if you're a seller of a leasehold property where the lease has been granted after June 2022, again, check your lease, make sure it complies with the legislation, because if it's not, you may need to vary the lease, which can be time consuming and costly.
Now, as we're buy-to-let specialists, we can assist with all the draft documentation that you would require in order to deal with a particular type of situation in this manner. We hope you found that useful, and if you do have any questions, do get in contact with the details below.